there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we endeavor to bring you the joy and excitement of U of L women's athletics on a usually weekly basis. Sometimes we take a week off here or there for various and sundry things, and we have a wide and variety of a crew. Usually, we have five to choose from. Today we have two of those five, me and Jeff McAdams, as our other three are that have usually appear on here from time to time, are at in doing various other things. So I think Jared is at covering an early football contest today, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
Uh, Case, I'm not sure where Case was today.
Yeah, I didn't
I,
catch it. What he
I don't
said.
remember seeing what he had to do. He did
Yeah.
the article today, but he was not able to stay around for the broadcast. And Daryl's out making wedding plans. It's now under 100 days. So
Yeah. Getting down to the nitty gritty.
yeah, she's getting down to that 3 month span where I don't know. I wasn't all that nervous, but anyway, it's just the way it works. It's a big event, and I'm sure that I have never been, Jeff, to a New Year's Eve wedding reception.
I don't think I have either.
I,
I imagine that would be fun, but yeah, I never done that.
yeah, I mean, does it automatically end at midnight? Is, is it over, or does it keep
I
going?
see.
Or,
I
you
would
know,
think that's when the party's just getting started.
I would a lot of times in wedding receptions. Yeah, that's when the first bucket on the head appears, and people start
Mm,
running around
yeah.
and
Lampshades get pulled out.
doing doing crazy stuff and seeing how many they can squeeze into the handicap bathroom. Yeah, but anyway, enough on that. Let's go ahead. We got Jeff McAdams, as I mentioned. Jeff been a long and faithful and loyal writer here at the site with his intrinsic views on volleyball and also other things that are going on in the Louisville women's sports world. And kind of catch us up, Jeff. What kind of week did you have this week?
Oh, it was a week. Things got done. Good, bad, otherwise. So I'm here. Made it through.
So he's coming in definitely in neutral country today, as they say.
Celebrating some good volleyball wins. So that's on the good side of things. So we'll do joy and excitement here.
Yeah, it definitely will be a,
Yeah.
a subject that we cover this evening with the cards. Telling the Clemson Tigers not so fast.
Yeah.
This is also our home,
Yeah.
and we're
To
going to
no
display that.
big surprise there, but.
They, I think they had a little trouble when it was in the third set. I watched it, but it was. It seems like eons
This
ago.
yeah, last night, yes, the second set was the closest, I believe.
The second
Uh
set was the closest.
yeah,
Okay,
but
there was one set that they trailed like a lot of the way, and then came
yeah,
back and took it at the end. So
that was the second set, yeah.
excited for them to be able to do that.
Hmm.
Also, some of the other things that we'll be talking about today. We will talk about the continuing woes of Louisville women's soccer.
Mm,
I know it's not the joy and excitement of U of L women's sports, but still, it's a sport that we do cover quite frequently here. We need to give them their due credit of at least acknowledgement that they are out there, and also we'll talk a little field hockey too. Field hockey had a tough one on Friday, and then I guess probably to get us started on today's broadcast, we should give a passing look, I guess, at Louisville Live, which was revitalized last night. It's
hmm.
an event where they've done this really in quite a few different places around the Louisville community over the year. It's a kind of the opening salvo for women's basketball and men's basketball. The coaches show up, players show up. They do certain things like 3-point shooting contests, and they have dunk contests, and also there's a third one as well. What am I missing? 3-point shooting, dunk, and
They did 3v3.
Oh yeah, 3-on-3 games.
Yeah.
Not full court.
No, 3-on-3 typically half court, but they did do
Yeah,
co-ed mixed gender, so that was kind of cool.
yeah, they did do that this year when they mixed
Yeah.
it up. I think there was one girl on a four-man team or something like that. But
5 total. Yeah, there was two players from the men's team, 2 players from the women's team, and then an alumni.
oh, okay, well, a
Yeah.
nice concept there.
Yeah.
Yes, because I think I did see Stephen Van Treese played.
Stephen Van Treese, and then on the other team was Chelsea Hall.
Yeah,
So
of course we all remember Chelsea and
yeah,
her time here at Louisville. So I did not see any final attendance figures on this, Jeff. Did you come up with anything?
I have not seen anything now. It looked like a pretty good crowd from the pictures that I've seen from it. So
That our photographer Jared Anderson was down there for it. Took some photos, which he transferred over to Case for today's Cardinal Couple article. Uh, that Case had the right on today, and all things considered, I think when you take a look at it, it's nice to be able to do Louisville Live again. Obviously, good to have it back out there as kind of the opening. I guess maybe start of
celebration, I think, is maybe
yeah.
the term to use, right?
I, yeah, although I'm not really, excuse me, but I'm not really too sure about what they're celebrating. Uh, I'm celebrating that they may have a new men's basketball coach.
Just celebrating the programs and hopefully some revitalization on the men's side, and an ongoing celebration of the quality on the women's side. So yeah, but I'm okay with celebrating when there's not any particular individual uh, event to celebrate. It's the excuse to have fun.
And we'll go with that then. That will be
Yeah.
fine. Certainly, one of the things I think that we need to look at is that they've had this in a lot of prime venues around town. But this year, I think, is one of the first ones I can maybe remember that they've had indoors.
Uh, it's Slugger Field. They did Churchill Downs. They did 4th Street Live, which is sort of indoors. It's covered.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, they haven't had this event too many times. So yeah, I think this may be the first time. Unless I was at KFC Center once before, but I don't think so.
I don't believe it has been. I believe this
Yeah.
is the first time that they've actually stepped in the home where they're going to be playing their games, home games anyway. Where I'm assuming a good crowd came out. I'm looking at kind of just briefly some photos here. They have some nice shots. They also have pretty nice write up about one of the women's basketball players who we're very, very big fans of, and that, of course, is being a freshman that's come on campus, and that's Anaya Hardy,
Mhm.
who 6'4", comes to the Cards out of somewhere in Michigan. I'm going to say it was Detroit, Michigan, but I'm not positive of that. I know it's somewhere in the area. But she actually joined the dunk contest, Jeff. How about that?
Yep. Apparently didn't quite get any down, but got really close. So, it's something we may see during her time with us in the next few years. So I'm hopeful for that. That'd be fun.
Well, indeed, is that she? So one of the ones that
The roster lister is 6'3", but I have also heard 6'4", so it may be a fuzz.
and also it's kind of tough to tell some ways too because
Yeah.
of the way she wears her hairstyle,
Yeah.
which is basically straight up on her head.
Yep.
So uh, maybe there's an inch of scalp in there. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
they called her an honorary dunk participant.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. She's dunked before.
Yeah, I think she did in high school, but yeah, we
Yeah,
yeah,
I think we've got a dunk example of her also dunking in the practice facility for the Cards over there at the Cuber Center.
could be. Hmm.
Yeah, I thought I saw one there. But anyway, a fun event for the fans to turn out. Certainly a predecessor, some others that'll be coming on. We had the actual Walls' coach review of the early squad preseason. A couple, what was it, last week maybe? Or Daryl covered that for us.
Hmm.
Wrote up a nice article on it, and I've done those in past years. I did not go this year because of basically they were not doing any individual breakdown with the players afterward. It
Yeah,
was you got Wallace,
and then that
and then
was
you
it.
got to go watch practice.
Yeah,
The players were not seated around the arena in various spots
so you
inside
didn't
the Cuber.
you didn't get to recruit an assistant this year,
I did not get the recruiter's assistant this year. That's right.
as has been
And
your practice. You know.
traditionally, I have done that, and sometimes with very interesting results, as I have indeed the year that I had. Uh, the year that I had Maisha Hines is.
Yeah, she's a character
Oh,
anyway. I mean, goodness.
one year. Yeah, my favorite, I think, was when I had Jasmine Jones
Oh,
as,
yeah,
as my assistant. She was
yeah,
just so great and lovely. And she just took over the interviews,
yeah.
and she's like, "So tell me why you think you're going to beat me out for a job this year? Tell me what makes you think you're so good." But the Cards had a player on the roster a few years ago that came in pretty highly respected, and a lot of people thought that she was going to be very good for us, and she did not get along very well with Maisha Hans Allen.
Hmm.
There was a conflict there, and so when I asked Maisha, we went around and talked to a couple, and I said, "What do you think? Should we go over and talk to her?" Maisha's eyes just lit up. She just said, "Oh yeah, come on, let's do that." And I think she scared the young lady across out of the Cuber Center and over in the parking lot over there. She was leaning back in her chair. Maisha was just firing at her. What was that thing you said about me in the elevator? Tell me about that. Maybe a tough choice, but anyway, a fun event. More
Yeah,
things coming, of course. The women's basketball luncheon.
yeah.
Go
I
ahead, sir.
think I think and events like Louisville Live are great, because they are an opportunity to engage with the fans, to bring the fans into the program a little bit more. You know, certainly Jeff Wells has been good about doing that just in general over the years. He's got a track record of doing that. And on the men's side, Pat Kelsey this year, obviously he's very new, but holy crap, he's taking campus by storm, kind of literally. If you saw the video that came out, I think it was yesterday morning, where he was walking through the student activity center, calling out people, telling them to come to Louisville Live. So, he's out there. He's engaging individually with fans. Called out one that was wearing a Duke shirt on campus, so that was fun. Um, but yeah, it's an opportunity for them to get out there and engage and have fun and show these programs to be more than just come and sit in the stands passively and you know passive entertainment. Get engaged with it, have fun with it.
Certainly an event that has done well in past years. Got some very, very nice attendance involved with it, and I don't think it's going anywhere. Now that they've brought it back and resurrected it, people were saying also some comments I read about it. They wouldn't mind seeing it at the KFCM Center every year.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I don't know.
yeah. This kind of thing I think kind of grew out of the opening of practices, and not to compare it to our friends to the east, but they would have Midnight Madness every year, and as the first practice, and this kind of event kind of grew out of that, and I think it's become a great event. It's less about the first practice now. I think both men's and women's teams have been practicing for a week or two at this point, but that type of event to get the fan engagement is great.
We'll certainly see how they decide to handle it in future years. Not sure if they'll. I'm trying to think of big venues here in town that they have not had it at yet, and I'm not coming up with any, Jeff, really that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, the only other thing I could think of would be, I mean, you do Freedom Hall, but meh.
yeah,
Um,
that's more UK territory anyway anymore.
yeah. I don't. Yeah, that's a good question. Uh,
Would they
yeah, I
have
don't
it
know.
over at the football field one year, possibly? It seemed like
I mean,
a
could there
very
be?
large setting for.
Yeah, that would be considerably more expense, I would think, to set that up. Oh, yeah, yeah, not any more than doing it at Churchill Downs, I would think. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, that certainly would be a potential for one if they find that they are having sellout crowds at the KFC. I'm considering that might be a move to make.
So we'll follow that down the road and see what happens with it. Certainly, I hope that the fan base still continues to show up for it and come out for it and let them know that they are excited about what's coming on uh, for the season. The Cards will be having one more event Tuesday, and this is one that I know you've gone to traditionally over the years, as well as I have and Sonia has. Is the actual luncheon, the
Yeah,
women's basketball luncheon.
yeah, I am not signed up to go to that this year, so unfortunately.
We are going to go again this year, and as our media coverage it's a Tuesday, and they're having this once again at the Gold House in the Grand Ballroom, and that's over in the East Tower, second floor. I don't know if I would assume they're probably going to have walk up ticket purchasing if you want. I haven't really heard one way or another.
Yeah, I don't know.
I know in past years they have. We've always sat at the media table
Yeah,
and and
I,
enjoyed our time there.
yeah, I don't know whether they would or not. They would probably set it up for the number of people RSVP'd for it. They might have a handful of positions available, maybe. I don't know, but I wouldn't count on that for sure.
And so they sit you at a table if they can. I mean, there's only a certain amount of players to go around, and there are more tables than there are players.
Right.
So if you're lucky and you get a player, good for you. The media never gets a player to sit with them at their table, quite understandably.
Yeah.
And
Again, engaging with the fans, less so the media here. Yeah.
that's correct. And traditionally, the media tables are never filled completely. There's always 3 or 4 seats available at those, and so it comes into a territorial battle over desserts that I've noticed in past years. That there are certain members of the media who crave and want. They have to have that second dessert, and I usually cheerfully just kind of throw my hand up there and say, "Hey, if you want it, go ahead and eat it."
Mm,
I've had a lot of dessert in my days, and in past years, the dessert has been the focal point and the best part of the meal. Not to say anything bad about that
yeah.
old. Okay, it's a fun event. You get the pep in. They do a couple numbers. Traditionally, you have like 1 or 2 players up there after opening remarks from the athletic director, Josh. They bring up 1 or 2 players to kind of run the event a little bit after Walls's talk,
Mhm.
and they introduce the players, and the players get up and just kind of say hi. And they have a brief little highlight film with them as they're
Yeah.
introduced, and
Usually a little bit more of an in-depth interview with a couple of the, 2 or 3
yeah,
of the players. Yeah.
and that's always fun too. One of the fun parts of the event too that we've noticed in past years is when we get the chance to kind of go around and actually talk with them after the thing is over. And I used to do my famous interviews with Sam Purcell every year, which were always fun. It was Sam's birthday today, by the way. So if you still stay in touch with him or still do anything with him, um, wish him a happy birthday if you
Yeah.
via Facebook or email or whatever. Such a great guy, and certainly a guy who's jumped to a very, very high level. And women's college basketball is well respected and has built up quite a fan base
Yeah.
down at Mississippi State.
Absolutely.
So we're happy for Sam, and kind of hated to see him leave here, but
Yeah.
such is the way it goes. Good assistant coaches sometimes do move on. It happens. What are you
Yep.
going to do? But in other events, and we'll kind of, I guess we can go back and start maybe with women's soccer.
Hmm.
Although I certainly don't want to spend I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
go ahead and I guess go ahead and talk it out a little bit as the Cards
I
are
mean,
on the road trip from hell.
the results so far were expected. Let's put it that way, right?
Oh, I agree with you
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I mean, it was.
We had last Sunday we had a 1-0 win over NC State, and we talked about that might have been one of the last opportunities for this U of L team to really kind of have a good showing, which they did decently. It's decent showing at least, and then Thursday night North Carolina just I don't really think much of anybody expected Louisville to win that one.
No, I don't either. It was.
Yeah, number 3 team in the country. So yeah,
It was. I'm sure when they got on, the bus to take the road trip down there, and they're going to go do
yeah,
that and all, they were kind of like, "Wow, this is not going to be a pleasant trip."
no,
Although I try to do stuff to try to get a team motivated and stuff on the bus in the locker rooms and stuff like that.
sure. The actual road trip is, it's a road trip. You can have fun with that, but yeah, the competition parts of it, yeah,
You do all that, and then you have a lot of fun with it. And then Chapel Hill is really a beautiful town too, and a fun town to go explore if you're a fan and not a player, obviously. But
yeah. I
they
have
have
not been there. I've been very close. I went to Duke for a volleyball match, so
yeah,
very nearby. I didn't get over to Chapel Hill while I was down there. So
it's a little further south than the
mhm.
Raleigh Durham area down there, and they have. We were down there for a football game a few years back on one of my Al Parrish sponsored bus trips that we get about 30 people and throw them all on a bus and say, let's go watch football. And that used to be a lot of fun. We did that for a long, long time. And one year we did go down to Chapel Hill to watch the Cards beat North Carolina and hit the local bars in the Hill area after the game. They basically parked the bus at the end of the street where there were about 4 or 5 bars and said, okay, let's everybody meet back here at this bus at 11 o'clock. Okay, fine. Off we went. And actually, the first place, and I can't remember the name of it, Sonny and I went into, was where we stayed the entire night.
Yeah,
They had a nice band playing. It was fun. There was a nice mix of young and old. Uh, the drink prices were reasonable. And
yeah. That's always nice when you can find that.
absolutely so,
Yeah,
yeah, and it's not that I was going to go in there and hammer the bar down, but I didn't. Yeah, I'd like
Yeah,
to have maybe a couple bourbons when I'm in there, and
sure.
uh, certainly socialize with other Cardinal fans that were in there, and we actually talked to quite a few of them in there. And that night, and got to meet some very nice North Carolina fans as well. And it's always fun to do that on road trips, but you kind of just look forward to those occasions. But yeah, this trip to Chapel Hill, and I call it Chapel Hill for a reason because a lot of times it is not a friendly and a hospitable place for a visiting team to come in, especially in a sport that North Carolina is very good in, and that being women's soccer, and a sport that Louisville is, well, it just isn't what it used to be in. But as you can mention, 5-0 win for the Tar Heels, Jeff, and this just didn't start out well for the Cards, did it? They gave a goal early, uh, and it got worse from there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't watch it. Well, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, but it was pretty much in control of North Carolina. Uh, from the get go. So that that which is again kind of what was expected here. It's a very good team, and Louisville is still it's I think it's a better team than we had last year. But it's not at this level.
It really isn't. And the Cards were in it for a little while, and then it got to be 1-0, then it got to be 2-0, and it went into halftime at 2-0. Uh,
Which
the
is not an
defense kind of
insurmountable lead, but
yeah,
yeah,
the defense kind of settled in, and I'm sure that that was probably the impetus behind the halftime talk that Karen Ferguson days had with the squad is that, hey, we're still in this thing, guys. It's 2-0. We get a goal. We're only one goal down. Think about that. That was probably used in the obverse type of reasoning over in the North Carolina locker room. Hey, we're only up 2-0 on these guys, and they're horrible. We're number three in the nation. What's the matter with you all? Get out there and win this thing and look like a number three team in the nation and doing it. Uh, that emphasizing of right and skill proved to be the correct one, as they ended up winning the contest 5-0. Uh, One of the things I noticed that the North Carolina's defense just kept us at a striking range almost the entire contest and watching this thing. Uh, we can we can put up some pretty good shots at times. Okay,
mm,
I've seen this team do that, and I've seen this team get in there where they've got some decent goal scorers, and they've got some people who can get the job done. But wow, when you take a look at this one, and
yeah.
unfortunately,
And my amateur take on most of my judgment around watching a soccer team, because I'm not an expert on it, is ball control. Who has control of the ball? What part of the field are they in? Are they in the opponent on? Are they able to drive the ball down into the opponent's side of the field for a significant amount of time? A little bit, and you can actually look at objective numbers if you want to, timing who has control of the ball, what times, and where they are in the field, how much time. But mostly, I'm doing it if I'm in the crowd. I'm just doing it, subjectively in my head. So but that's a lot of what I look at going, okay, who's in control of this? Who's on offense? Who has possession of the ball? And a good team is going to make sure that they're the ones in control of the ball, and you're going to have trouble getting away from them.
yes, and in addition to that, that's always a good one to watch. One that I tend to watch are four different areas in a game that kind of tell the story to me without even seeing the final score. That is the number of shots by period or half by team,
Hmm.
the number of saves by half by team, your opportunity with corner kicks. How many corner kicks are you getting? And One that's maybe not as important, but certainly one that can make a difference is, are you fouling them a bunch to keep them out of stuff?
Yeah.
What's the final foul total?
Yeah.
Looking at this game, shots by period, well, that went in North Carolina's favor, 19-3. So not so good for Louisville there.
Yeah.
Saves by
It's pretty
period,
lopsided.
yeah. North Carolina only had to have one save on those three shots. The Cards ended up having four saves, but then again, giving up 5 goals. Corner kicks. Louisville did not receive a corner kick opportunity the entire contest against the Tar Heels.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's not great.
no, it is not at all. And North Carolina got 4 attempts. And then finally, in fouls, the Cards had 10 fouls. The Tar Heels only had 4 fouls. And to give North Carolina at least a due amount of credit, they did kind of just have a yard sale and emptied their bench at the end of this one
Yeah.
to let a lot of people that might not traditionally get into a game for them play. And once they started doing that, uh, Karen Ferguson Days kind of just took a look down there and said, okay, well, I brought you all for a reason. Who wants to play? And
Yeah.
she went very deep into her bench as well. And, uh, that's good. And a lot of times when that happens, it's just kind of, well, the action centers around midfield, and it doesn't really go too far either way. But give North Carolina credit, they still continue to score
Mm.
despite having not some of their starters in there. Let's they had subs in there, and they still got 3 goals out of subs, and those subs weren't playing a whole lot of minutes. So you jump out of the fire into the frying pan, is the old term, Jeff, and
Yeah.
tomorrow that is going to be the case again for
Yeah. We go from playing the
beleaguered.
number 3 team in the country to the number 2 team in the country.
Yeah,
Woohoo! Yay.
the beleaguered Cardinals will drag their weary soccer team a little northeast of where they played and head to the beautiful town of Durham, North Carolina, a sister city with Raleigh, North Carolina, where NC State is. The Durham campus, the Duke campus, is beautiful. The Duke Gardens are unbelievable. The Duke Forest is a very, very nice, pristine, quiet walk. Sonia and I used to have
Yeah.
done this particular visit to the Duke campus on several occasions. The reason being, a lot of the Sykes relatives live in Haw River, North Carolina, which is a mere 12 miles away from Durham. So, in years when my dad was still alive, going down to visit my aunts and uncles who are all gone on that side of the family, and I did not stay much in touch with the cousins and such, but still hear from them occasionally. When are you coming down to see us again? Well, don't get down there, but I've had some fun on that campus in past years. I actually got a chance to go in and shoot baskets in Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Where you got chased off by the janitor or whatever.
Before I got ran off by the janitor. That's true.
Mhm.
But I had Sonia rebounding for me, and I was popping them from 3-point range and hitting them. And I was just thinking to myself, man, I got to get down there. I got to talk to Patino. I got to see if I can get a scholarship.
Do you have eligibility left?
Yeah, or Coach K. I mean, I was doing it in his gym, but I didn't have any eligibility left, unfortunately. But and that was fun. We were having a great time with that, and then probably could have done that a little bit longer. But then a janitor showed up and kind of talked to me a little bit. And first of all, kind of breathly informed me we really don't like people out here in their street shoes. Oops. Well, the moccasins seemed like a good fit today, so I wore them. But then we talked a little bit, and then he was very nice about it all. He said,
Yeah.
He said, none of the staff are around where I can introduce you to them or anything. He said, and, I hope you had some fun out there shooting, but they kind of get me to watch that
Yeah.
and not let people out on the court and doing that. And so, okay, well, I understand, sir. I appreciate the way you handled it. Such it was. So, anyway, Duke's next. If you ever
Yeah.
get the chance to go to the campus, Jeff, someday, I would invite you to go.
Yeah. But as I said, I have been down there for volleyball
And
in Cameron, so it was a pleasant trip.
it is a nice trip down there, and certainly Highway 70 is so scenic, and you go through some neat towns and stuff. And there's a bunch of
Yeah.
Sykeses down that way too. So hi to y'all.
Maybe avoid going through Asheville right now, though.
Oh yeah, that's unfortunately
Yeah. Yeah.
got hit very very hard by the remnants of the hurricane with the rain and the Biltmore and all that. Those beautiful things in Asheville are just see not good at all. And I've had the chance to go to Asheville and to visit the Biltmore and just to see what happened down there and look at some of the pictures and hear some of the news reports. You got a feel for those folks. Very much you do, sir.
Yep.
And, hopefully they will come back strong. I'm sure they can do that. But moving on next, then I guess one area that we haven't talked about a little bit is field hockey. Uh, it's been kind of just a weird season for Justine's team this year, Jeff. Uh, they lose again. Now they're 5-6 on the season, and I didn't think I'd ever see actually this field hockey team under 500. That's where
Yeah.
they're at.
Yeah. It it's hard to criticize too much because the losses have come to like good teams, but it does suggest that in the past years where we've been able to win some of these that we haven't quite gotten indeed done against some of these top teams. That maybe we're a little step off in the program right now, step slow maybe. Um, yeah, and you want to see it kind of return to some former glory, yesterday we lost to Syracuse, number 15, right. We probably would have won that last year or the year before, against a 15th ranked team. So, you know, um, a little bit off. I hope to see, improvement coming in the future. But right now, it looks like a little bit of struggles in the trigger based squad.
Unfortunately, so as they the way they kind of started there, it looked like they might be kind of okay. They got a score. I think they got a corner in the first 3 minutes, and Chloe Plum, the younger of the Plum sisters, I'm not going to say the smaller, but the younger,
Mm-hmm.
the younger Plum, tipped in a shot after an assist from Izzy Bianco, and they were up 1-0. But unfortunately, they still had quite a few minutes to play in the contest.
Yeah, it was right out of the gate. It's what, third minute?
Yeah,
So it was, yeah, obviously very early. Uh, yeah, not likely to hold on against a good team like Syracuse in that situation.
as the Cuse was able to come in and get a 2-1 win over the Cards. For those things that I like to track, I mentioned sometimes shots. Syracuse outshot the Cards 12-4, and the shots on goal a 6-1 advantage. Uh, they scored the winning goal, which was only the third goal of the game, with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Which, if you do the math on it and kind of figure it out there, that means that you had 20 minutes of scoreless field hockey to end the contest. Uh, all in all, the Cards are getting goals when they need them when they get their wins. They've scored 21 goals in 11 games this year. So that's very close to an average of 2 goals a game, Jeff.
Yeah,
And a lot of
which
times,
sounds
like
good.
yesterday, yeah, and yesterday, 2 goals won the game for Syracuse. So on paper, it doesn't look too bad, but unfortunately, the way that it adds up for Louisville, sometimes they're giving up a few more than 2 goals a game in their losses.
Yeah.
That
The
last, yeah,
goals seem to be clumped in the winning games, and not getting them when we lose it. A little more consistency would be nice.
yeah. If you kind of take a look at what they've done, of course, the 2-1 loss yesterday to the Cuse, they were up at Ohio State. They took a 4-3 loss up there with the kind of asterisk, I guess, in overtime. They had to go to an extra session to solve that one. But Ohio State got the win. And then if you take a look at before that, we had Boston College in town, battled them very closely, lost 1-0. And before that, 3 straight wins. So just as it looked like maybe they were turning the corner here a little bit and about to get some stuff done, they come up with 2 losses in a row. Uh, and I'll just talk about this real quickly, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the actual game. But it's this is just a schedule from hell. You take a look at who the Cards have had to play.
Yeah.
Maryland and Maryland. They had to take on Princeton, a very
Northwestern.
good field
Jeez.
hockey team. Northwestern, Penn, a very very good team. Actually played Stanford, new
Hmm.
to the league, and we're soaring along pretty well.
Boston College, Ohio State, both ranked. Yeah, I mean, and it didn't get any easier.
No, unfortunately for them, it will not, because everything from here on out is a conference game, except for their final game of the season when they will end the year with a trip to California, where they will actually play Cal on a
Yeah.
Friday and then take on UC Davis on a Sunday to end the season. And that being about 3 weeks away.
Yep.
And then,
End
of
end of
course,
October. Yeah.
after that, then you get into the playoff scenarios and such. But I'm not sure how it works out this year. I get the conferences mixed up sometimes, but I think everybody but one team gets to play in the ACC tournament this year for field hockey, Jeff.
Oh, I don't know what they're doing with the
I
new
thought I read that
entrance.
earlier, and
That would suck to be that one team.
it would indeed. I mean, because you're looking at, I'm in a four-way tie for fifth place, but unfortunately, we're the four worst teams in the league. Uh, how do you decide? But
So we've got, let's see, what is there? 9 teams now.
if I'm not mistaken, I believe there are 9.
Yeah, and it looks like the bracket is set up to be 8 teams. So
And you don't see a one play-in spot in that. So
uh-uh.
yeah, because I'm thinking that you've
Yeah.
got
Wow. That's
Stanford,
brutal.
Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Virginia. That's 4. Then you've got UNC and Duke. Boston College and Syracuse is 8, and your ninth would be Notre Dame, right?
No, Notre Dame's not here. Boston College, North Carolina, Virginia, Duke, Syracuse, Louisville, Cal, Wake Forest, and Stanford.
Oh, okay. So in any event, I don't know if Justine would come out and actually call this one a rebuilding season, but I think she would definitely call it a season where they're in transition. And especially with the announcement that in a couple of years we're going to be hosting the Final Four again. I think that we'd want to
Yeah,
get back on the right
yeah.
foot and see possibly if we could be one of the Final Four participants when we hold it at a Traeger, which, from what I understand, just in reading various things around the nation about field hockey and stuff, very, very highly respected and honored facility for field hockey. Teams love to come in and play on the Traeger turf.
Yeah, yeah.
So good work there on the money spent, Vince Tyre, and yeah, that was pretty much all Vince's work there when they rebuilt the turf.
Oh yeah, the new turf they put in. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on over to a lot bigger ball and a game that's played indoors, and that's volleyball. As the Cards took on Clemson in volleyball yesterday. The
Hmm.
Tigers came in to see if they could upset Louisville a little bit, but they were unable to get anything accomplished in the three set. Lost to the Cards 25-13, 25-22, and then ending up 25-17. Louisville gets the 3-game sweep over the visitors. You were out there for this one. Some of your thoughts and impressions, sir?
Yeah, I think the biggest impression I had was that the Cards kind of played down a little bit to the level, kind of replayed at the level of your opponent, right? It's hard to get hyped up for a team that is, they're not a great team. I'm gonna say Clemson's probably better than they have been in the past, but that's just not saying much. So, um, I didn't see, the team was out there. They were smiling, they were celebrating. They were doing that well, but it they felt just a touch flat for me. Um, but that's okay, right? I mean, you can do that for this game. And then, you come back on, tomorrow we're going to be playing Georgia Tech. It's a ranked team. That's going to be a much more hyped game. You got to be more up and ready to play for that. And I suspect they will. I don't see a long term problem here, but it felt a little flat. But it was a good win. It was never in too much doubt. Although the second set had some. Well, they trailed for a bit, but I think the vibe was, yeah, okay, we can come back and win this, and they did. So um, that was just kind of my really kind of high level subjective feel on it. Um, yeah, Anna DeBeer is back and is playing very well. She had kind of a little bit of a slump there for a while, I would say, but her offense is back on target and hitting well. She's also passing well, passing and digging pretty well now, which she was struggling with her in the earlier part of the season. So that's great to see. Charity Leaper is still on fire, and I will say in yesterday's match they did. Uh, have an odd little bit of a lineup change. So players playing a little bit different position than a couple of players playing a little bit differently than what they're used to. Um, and it's a lineup change that I've never seen the likes of before. I don't know if you noticed this watching me, but at least in the third set, I'm pretty sure in the second set, but I don't think so in the first. They had Elena Scott as libero, substituting in for Hannah Sherman as one of the middles, and Charity Looper as an outside, right? I don't think I've
Whoa.
ever seen a team use a libero to substitute for anybody other than the middles. So that
I will
was,
have to
yeah,
agree with you.
yeah, that's a very unusual thing to see. Um, my impression is that this is an opportunity because what they were doing is they're substituting in Camden Strand in place of the other middle. Kara Cressy was playing that middle position. And I think this was an opportunity to get Camden down on the court a little bit more as what I think is likely going to be our next libero after Elena Scott graduates this year. So to get her some experience, to get her some playing time. So um, Yeah, interesting thing. This coaching staff has done a couple of interesting things with liberos this year. They did up in Northern Kentucky. They had two libero set um, ready to go, which is not something we usually do either. So yeah, it's just interesting to see that difference in how they set up the lineup.
The Cards didn't appear they were going to have much trouble in the first set, just ripping the ball for a 25-13 first set win. Looking to clearly establish, I think, the way that they planned this match to go. Clemson all of a sudden just kind of said, wait a second. Let's play another set here and see what happens. Okay? And in that second set, Clemson fought hard. They did not, was not ready and were not ready to back down to the Cards. For the vast majority of that second set, this thing was still tied, Jeff, at 2020.
Yeah, yeah. The second
Uh,
set was close for sure, through a long way. A little bit of a kind of a sort of funk, I think. Again, playing down to the level of the team that you're playing against, but they did get it done in the end.
yeah, 2020, and then they ended up, of course, getting 5 of the next 7 points for the 25-22 win. Third set, at halftime, what do you tell your team? You're on the road. You're playing in the smaller of Louisville's 2 homes, and can you pull off a reverse sweep against them in this crowd? Probably not. If I'm the
Mm.
head coach of a team that's down 2 sets at halftime to a team like Louisville in a facility like Louisville's, I would say let's just go ahead and play hard and
Hmm.
see, what happens 1 set at a time. Let's go ahead and take the third set and see if we can make it 2-1 against them, and then play real hard in the fourth set. But
Yep.
unfortunately for them, uh, if that was the scenario, it did not work as the Cards got good performances from the usual suspects, I'll call them, as we like to talk about Anna DeBeer and Charity Looper. 11 kills for Charity, and certainly had, I think, only 4 errors. So that's not too bad at all.
Yeah.
DeBeer actually led the way with 12 kills, had a 522 hitting percentage too, Jeff.
Yeah,
And it was
she
also,
did. She played very well yesterday. She and Charity Leaper were neck and neck, but Anna had the, I think, slightly better match. And 512 for a left side hitter is phenomenal.
and so this one will be
522.
taking
Yeah.
place at the L&N Arena again tomorrow,
Hmm.
as the Cards will bring in Georgia Tech. The Killer Bees are all gone except for one, I think you told me.
Yeah. Yeah. Bertolino is still there, so they still have one. But maybe not quite the power team that they have been in past. Although they are still very good. I don't want to take anything away from them, but not maybe just a slight step down from what they've had in the past. But certainly don't want to take them for granted. This is still a big game. They still are a ranked team, ranked well, but they're they're good and need to be up for this one. And we'll see how it goes.
And if you
It is
care to
not
do
at the
so,
KFCM
I'm
Center, by the way.
sure. No,
It is at
this
LN.
is at the L&N Arena. Yeah,
Yeah,
the L&N Arena,
yeah.
the smaller of the 2 Cardinal homes.
Hmm.
And can you think of any other schools, Jeff, that you can know of in the ACC that actually claim 2 courts as being their home courts?
Uh, Pitt could. They've been playing at the Pete more. I don't
Okay.
probably not as much as we do. Let's see. I'm trying to think of any others. Uh, I don't know I don't know that I've seen any others go into alternate home floors. Just trying to think through it all.
I'm trying to think of the what matches that I've watched
Yeah.
where the primary visiting venue is, and I can't think of any either
Yeah, like
offhand.
Notre Dame like routinely plays at Purcell, and that's their main venue. And that's a good sized arena. Yeah, I'm Pitt. Um, yeah, that's all I can think of off the top of my head.
As you look at what's left for Louisville, and certainly quite a bit left to go on the volleyball schedule because they will actually roll uh, in actual conference play all the way up to the very end of November.
Hmm.
So a lot of matches left to go here.
Yeah, it's
And
still quite a bit. We're only about halfway through the season, if that, maybe not even quite halfway. So
yeah, I'd have to be hard pressed to actually call it halfway yet when you take a
yeah,
look at what they've.
yeah,
And,
we're only in the second weekend of conference play, right? So that's still fairly early.
but obviously, after this weekend, after the Georgia Tech game, then the Cards will take a southern swing
Hmm.
for mid October as they will go down and visit, first off, Florida State in Tallahassee on a Friday, and then a Sunday trip down to Miami to take on the Hurricanes down there.
Both of
Uh,
which are dangerous teams. Neither ranked, neither at that level, but both of which are yeah, have moments when they can be a little bit dangerous. So
and I was just taking a quick look here. It looks like this game tomorrow is going to be on the ACC network again.
hmm, yep, on linear. Yep.
So they are going to go head up against pro football for the
Yeah.
second week in a row. And I would imagine that they're going to get their fair share of viewers for this as well.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah. 1:30 start. So a little. I don't know. That's a fairly typical. The half hour is a little odd, but 1:30 is a typical sort of range for start time for Sunday volleyball. So,
We haven't seen it too much recently, but certainly in the times that Sony and I have been able to get out to matches this year, we've had a great time. Our venues have been limited just to the KFC Yum Center for that,
mhm.
watching volleyball play, but have not seen any this year yet in the LNFCU. I'm not even sure where she's sitting the media at this year for those on the floor. Maybe
I don't think so. I think
she,
they tend to be up behind the when you're coming in and go to the right, up in that walkway.
yeah, okay, yeah, I know
Yeah,
exactly. I've sat up there and
yeah.
covered a volleyball match before up there. Sure have.
It's just a little too tight on the floor to try to get media down there. There's a Yeah,
Uh, I kind of liked the end zone seats that we had in the KFC Yum Center to cover it, although
they've got
pregame
some.
warm ups got kind of
Yeah,
dangerous.
yeah. That'll keep alert. Yeah, they have some fan seating down there now. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
games in the LNFCU, they do put the fans in the end zone,
yeah.
but they did have a one row set up of media coverage, and Sonny and I were sitting there after having the media meal and kind of just said, "Oh, let's watch them warm up a little bit. That'll be fun." And all of a sudden, and
Yeah,
and
duck and cover, man.
they did position one of the Louisville volleyball assistants to
Yeah,
kind of stand in front of it. That's down there in that area
okay. Provide some level of protection. Yeah,
to try to stop some of the incoming hail of of
yeah.
rapidly fired volleyballs on kill attempts. And for the most part, we did pretty good. We were able to deflect the 6 or 7 that got through him. And actually, I deflected one off and it sent it back and it hit an usher upside the head. Uh,
I mean, it's just part of the scene, man. It just
It is.
happens.
He
It's
came over and joked with me about it. He said, "You're
uh,
supposed to be protecting me up here." I said, "Wait a second." I said, "You're talking you're talking about a guy who's pushing 70 here. I'm close to 70 years old. My days of protecting ushers in volleyball are long gone. Maybe 20 years ago I could have caught that ball." I said, "I had no chance on this one. It was just get a
yeah,
hand up to keep it out of my own
just
face
self defense. Yeah,
and sent it." But that was fun down there because we actually got to sit right across from Jeff Walls and Pat Kelsey too at that game.
yeah,
But man, Jeff had his younger of his two daughters there with him.
hmm
I also understand he had both daughters with him last night at Louisville Live. And
Lucy and Lola.
Pat Kelsey had his son with him at the volleyball match.
hmm
And he came over and I introduced myself to him and we talked. And he seemed like a very pleasant guy. And I said, "I'm not going to write a single word about you this year." And he kind of got this quizzical look on his face. And I said, "Because I cover women's sports." And then it sunk in.
Yeah,
And he kind of chuckled. He said, "Well, you're," yeah. I said, "But don't worry, I'm still going to cheer for you."
yeah,
And he said, "Okay, that's great then."
yeah,
But he and Wallace had a couple kind of, I'm not going to call them serious discussions, but kind of high intensity, energized discussions, especially at halftime. So,
yeah. Eh,
not sure what they were covering there. Would like to have been a bug crawling up one of the sleeves to hear those. But
yeah,
in any event, hey, man, we are at the top of the hour. So, we have gotten ourselves to the end of another broadcast. Uh, I'll just go ahead and get into our final thoughts and we'll let the people get on with the things they need to do today here. Your
yeah,
final thoughts, sir.
yeah. We talked about for volleyball. We talked about the Clemson match yesterday. We didn't talk about Stanford on Sunday, which was a big
Oof,
match.
oof.
Yeah, that the Cards came out with a sweep that I'm not sure too many people expected. I think a lot of people expected our Cards to have a really good shot at winning that. It was, I think, technically an upset. Stanford was a higher ranked team, I believe, but you know, Cards came out and they swept. Helps be on their home floor. Or one of the home floors, as we talked about. But really kind of exposed some flaws in Stanford, I think, in doing so. And we just played out of our minds. Charity Leaper just had an amazing game. Reese Robbins did great blocking on the right side. So, it's just Elena Scott also played out of her mind. She's an amazing libero and just really kind of stepped it up a level last Sunday. So, yeah, big game. That was great to do. I want to celebrate that a little bit.
Absolutely. So a nice win for the Cards against a very,
hmm
very strong and always talented volleyball opponent.
Yep.
In the Cardinal, we won the battle of the same name birds, except for the
Right.
S.
And credit to Eric Freed on the commentary play by play. He made a statement at the beginning of it. He says, "I promise you, I will make sure to keep those straight between Cardinal and Cardinals,"
Yes, he
and
did.
he did. He did not mess that up once in the whole broadcast. So credit to him for that.
He probably had a loaded shotgun in his temple.
Yeah.
Oh, I was kidding. Uh, Good guy. And going in, segueing into my final thoughts on this year, I'm really tickled and pleased to see that uh, locally, including our one great newspaper, the Curious Journal, is actually devoting two staff writers now to cover events like that in the women's side of stuff. Alex Cubitt, of course, has always been doing basketball, and every once in a while, another event when they get her out to one. Brooks Holton has stepped in and is and covering some things as well now too. And it's good to see that our one local newspaper is taking, let's call it, a Louisville bend or lean now, when for so many years it had a Kentucky bend or lean. I'm happy about that, and I hope
Mm,
that they continue to do that. Of course, in their situation and in the status they're in, Jeff, they're just trying to do anything they can to salvage readers, whether it be online or via newspaper delivery, or however they can get it, because there are so many sources out there in this internet world
Hmm.
to read about any subject you want. So,
Yep.
that in mind, thanks everybody for listening today. Certainly, good luck to the Cards and the rest of their weekend pursuits. And we'll catch you here, unless you know something I don't, next week. Everybody have a good rest of the weekend, and go Cards.